Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. As always is the case with Kavam, when it rains it pours, and so many of you have been asking me whether we know anything about the upcoming BG season. I always said no. Well, now we know the nodes for upcoming 3 BG seasons plus new Alliance War tactics. So in this video I'm gonna go over them kind of more generally. Then I will make separate videos for definitely season 13, maybe for the upcoming seasons as well. But for now, let's just kind of like jump around in this post a bit. So I'm going to skip the initial nodes for battlegrounds. We're going to take an Alliance War tactic, and then we're going to go over each season individually, and I'm going to kind of give my brief thoughts about it. So, as you prepare for Journey into Necropolis, we know that a part of tackling big content like this is to get rank ups and chase champions that help you in other aspects of the game. So to help everybody make the most informed decisions, here is an early look of the upcoming seasons of Battlegrounds and Alliance War. As a reminder, these are subject to change. So as I said, we're going to jump in the BG tactics and BG metas in a moment, but let's take a look at Alliance War Season 46. Defensive tactics for Challenger and Expert modes. So we have Crush. This sounds quite rough, I'm not going to lie. When Crush defenders gain a bar of power, they inflict 2 separate 15 potency daunted passives for 25 seconds. I actually want to check out what does daunted do. Anybody remember? Once again, daunted MCOC. Brawl. Daunted. No, I can't. Which champion has daunted on them? What does daunted passive do? Anyways, during the defender's special attacks, they are passively rooted. So when you are suffering from 2 or more daunted effects during the defender's special attacks, attackers are passively rooted. Rooted attackers cannot evade. What? Crush defenders special attacks have 20% chance per daunted effect on the attacker to be passively unblockable, except against well-timed blocks. These abilities can't be affected by ability accuracy. This sounds horrible. Like, I'm sorry, but it sounds awful. It really does. It's gonna be rough. So, never you mind, daunted might be super annoying, whatever it does, but you cannot evade, you are passively rooted, and they're going to be unblockable, so every champion is going to be a photon, basically. Worse, kind of. Man, that sounds rough. So defenders, Crush defenders. Onslaught, Havoc, Emma Frost, Captain Britain, Danny Moonstar, Storm, Strife, Namor, Sauron, Apocalypse, Nightcrawler, Professor X, Omega Red, Domino, Magneto, Quicksilver, Scorpion, Photon, Titania, Sandman, Morbius, Joe Fixit, Immortal, A-Bomb, Void, Spider-Gwen, Spider-Ham, Spot, Thing, Silk, Yellow Jacket. Ooh, this sounds rough. Attack tactic better be good at countering it. Okay, so Sturdy. When Sturdy attackers intercept the opponent, they inflict a 30% taunt passive for 10 seconds. Paused during the opponent's special attacks. If the defender activates a special attack whilst this taunt is active, they have any remaining power drained. When Sturdy attackers drain the defender's power to 0, they gain a steadfast passive for 10 seconds. So this kind of helps with that, but you're still probably going to end up taking a lot of damage, blocking some gnarly special attacks you otherwise wouldn't want to, not to mention that there are some special attacks which you really don't want to block to begin with. I don't know, this sounds rough. It really does. So Penny Parker, Iron Man, Omega Sentinel, Red Skull Guardian, Doc Ock, Shocker, Punisher 2099, Cap, Hulk, Falcon, Hulkbuster, Warlock Lady, Deathstrike, Ultron, Black Cat, Black Panther. So it's going to be tech and skill champions largely. Shield, Zemo, Moondragon, Atuma Civil Warrior, 2 coming soon champions as well. I don't know, what do you think, guys? So this is clearly like mutants and science champions, and attack tactic is going to be techs and skill champions. But it does sound quite rough. Okay, now let's take a look at the BG metas. So I'm going to pay a bit more attention to the Season 13 Victory Track metas, Cerebral Control. The entire victory track, the entire season 13 is going to be focused around science champions, which is something that I don't like. I don't like these attacker buffs. What's the best way to have it? I think the best way to summarize it, I have enjoyed Battlegrounds significantly less since attacker buffs have become a thing. That's my personal kind of experience. Fully accept if some people disagree with it. We all play differently with different levels of dedication. We enjoy different things, all that. That's purely like personal thing. I'm not saying I'm right and you're wrong. For me personally, attacker buffs absolutely have not made Battlegrounds better. But okay. So, each time the defender would gain power while suffering from Petrify, Enervate, Wither, or Suppression effects, Science attackers gain 20-second Fury passive. No, gain a 20-second Fury passive, increasing attack rating by 10%, max 10 stacks. This ability has a 2-second cooldown. So, Science champions can get up to, a ton of extra attack. You can probably get up to, 200%. So, Science champions will be hitting hard. Many Science champions will be hitting very, very hard in this meta. Any buff activated by the attacker has 20% chance to be nullified, giving the defender a burst of 20% power over 2 seconds. Regeneration buffs have triple the chance to be pilfered. You don't gain buffs, except we have Healer Hide. So every 12 seconds, the defender gains a regeneration buff, restoring 10% of their max health, or you can gain that regen, and then you're going to get it pilfered. So, clearly kind of like meta that's punching buffs. A lot of buff-heavy champions will be unusable, so Cosmic champions, again, are kind of gonna get screwed. I think Cosmic and Tech champions are gonna struggle with this mainly, or at least some of them. Science champions seem to be like obviously the best picks for this stuff. I think because of how many Science champions we are going to see, we're probably not going to see as many Mystics in the meta in general, but because of the large amount of Science champions, it will be perfect with high damage. I think it's going to be a lot of skill defenders, so it's going to be kind of like a circle of Science champions, skill champions, and then obviously mutants with no buffs to counter them. Mutant champions like Kitty or Havoc or potentially Bishop. You just need to be very careful not to trigger regions with Bishop. Archangel, Domino, I think are going to be dominant in this meta alongside skill defenders to counter the damage increase that Science champions have. I think that's more or less how this meta is going to go. And then victory, from victory track to the global node, we also have Force of Will. So the defenders are immune to ability accuracy reduction, passives, and debuffs. Fair enough. So that's not much different from victory track, but weeks 3 and 4, you're going to get Buffet, still the same Science attack node. And when the attacker trigger a buff, it is immediately nullified. Defender against regeneration buff. So that's Buffet time. Powerful from afar. So Tech champions might come into play here slightly more, maybe. And it also will have 90% energy resistance. It's kind of cut off at the end, but 90% energy resistance will immediately discount quite a few champions. So it looks fine. But again, I personally wish we didn't have these attack buff nodes, again, because it automatically kind of pushes people to go for specific... I don't know, I think it's just too much kind of BAM interference or dictation how these metas work out. I genuinely like these metas better if we didn't have an attack buff. Because these attack buffs don't enable new champions to work. They just kind of push the champions that would already be good for these things further. And that immediately makes, Battlegrounds matches kind of more draft dependent, whether you get the right. So yeah, I genuinely don't think the attacker buffs are a good idea. Unfortunately, they will be present for next 3 seasons at the very least for sure. Right. Season 14, Red Scare. Every time an offensive dot champion applies damaging effect with a duration, they gain a 15% wishes buff lasting 20 seconds, max stacks 5. This wishes also enhances passives and burst. And then we have Polka Dot power. Both the attacker gains no power from landing or receiving attacks. And Power Shield. So this is going to be quite an interesting one. I think people will. I'm kind of more okay with this one. Again, I don't think the attacker buff needs to be here at all. But Polka Dot Power Shield, that sounds like an interesting combo. There will be some Nightmare Defenders, so you just can't stick really debuffs on them, right? Like, you know, Kingpin, for instance. It's not going to be an easy time against Kingpin on defense because Polka Dot is a thing. So, I don't know. I quite like this. I think it's quite interesting. It might be a bit rough for Victory Track. I'm sure we're going to get quite a lot of people giving feedback about it. Now, looking at Gladiator Circuit, we also get Hurt Locker on top of the first nodes, which makes it even more rough, which, you know, I'm fine. It's Gladiator Circuit. And then weeks 3 and 4 meta, we're going to have Safeguard, prevent defenders from losing more than 1% health, you know, Stunning Reflection, and also effects of quest nodes cannot have their ability accuracy reduced. So this one's going to be quite rough too, which I like. Season 14, I think is going to be quite cool. I quite like the way this looks. Again, wish there would be no offensive buffs, really. I don't like the impact they're having, but defensive nodes I think are fine. And now Season 15, it's going to be skill-centric. Again, we have an offensive buff. Every 5 critical hits a skill attacker lands, purifies all non-damaging debuffs on them. When the attacker gains a bar of power, they are afflicted with a Power Sting debuff for 10 seconds, intercepting the defender. You place the Power Sting on the opponent. And also Power Focus 1, so it is not going to be as easy to intercept because opponents will frequently be above 1 bar of power. I think this is fine. I don't think it's anything special. I think it's fine. Nothing too crazy there. Gladiator Circuit, however, encroaching stun on top of all of this. Now that sounds a lot more hard because then you will have to balance, obviously, not having the Power Sting on you whilst being forced to throw special attacks. So this sounds very, very hard without a doubt. Luckily, it's not weeks 3 and 4 meta. Weeks 3 and 4, whenever the attacker dodges an attack, both champions are inflicted with a heal block debuff, a taunt debuff, lowering their attack rating by 10%, and a disorient debuff. These debuffs last 7 seconds. And then we have steady build-up unblockable. So when you get 3 debuffs, opponent goes unblockable until you purify all of them. And the attacker's critical hits have 50% chance to grant them indefinite steadfast charge. Each charge lets you block 1 unblockable hit. So I think this one's fine too. I think the metas sound fine. I kind of wish there wouldn't be attacker buffs though associated with them. Overall though, it sounds interesting. It sounds tricky. It sounds hard. So I like it. I'm gonna say it like that. Overall, I don't have much bad comments to say about the upcoming nodes, aside from the fact that I don't like attacker buffs. And yeah, that is the news. As I said, I will be breaking down Season 13 nodes slightly more and try my best to explain them to you guys the best I can. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. And I will catch you guys soon. Bye-bye. Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about